This is going to last about 20-25 minutes, and then you can ask some questions or perhaps pull those to Shavkat when necessary. But I'm just going to give you an introduction to the product, because I'm not sure where you all are with it, and then look at some of the more in-depth features and some of the features that we put into version 2. So the idea behind Project Tracker was to produce S-curves to allow you to track the progress of a project, and having worked with Aster Power Project and Primavera and Microsoft Project, I was acutely aware that it's quite difficult to achieve S-curves within those products, and a lot of people would export data out to Excel, which needs an in-depth knowledge of graphing in the project management software products and producing graphs in Excel. So I tried to do this as simple as possible to extract data from the PM software, also without you having to put resources or costs on. A lot of graphing requires a resource of some description to be put on and actuals, but by plotting duration we can make that a lot simpler. So we can import information from Aster Power Project, Microsoft Project, Microsoft Project XML, so that means that the Project Tracker user doesn't necessarily need Microsoft Project on his or her machine to create S-curves, using the P6, Primavera P6 SDK, or via P6 XCR files or XML files. So all of these are supported, and obviously if we were to import either XML, the XCR, or the other Primavera XML format, you don't need Project Tracker, the PM software on your machine. So I'm going to show you an import via the XCR file, because that's what most people do. So if I click on XCR, I'm able to select a project and a baseline, and in fact I can select 2 baselines if I wish, because we want to possibly track our program against the earliest plan or the latest plan. So one of the features in version 2 which is quite handy is that we can use the latest dates and the soonest dates from a single baseline, because Primavera is quite good at holding baseline data. So what I've done, I've selected a project that's been exported out from P6 as XCR, and I'm just going to click on import there. So you can see immediately we have S-curves of some description. So we haven't had to add any resources in P6, we haven't had to do any exports from P6 or any modeling in Excel. So it's completely come out to us, and we can preview this, we can print it with logos. So it's extremely straightforward. What you see is what you get. Very, very quick to produce the data. So the options we have here are to, well, let's have a look at the different types of S-curve to start with. So initially this is a duration S-curve, so this is just based on where the tasks actually occur. One of the new features in version 2 is to plot physical percent complete. So rather than duration percent complete, we can plot physical percent complete, and I'll show you that in a moment. But we can, if the project is costed up, we can plot cost, so we can see the curve changes, or we could plot resource, so this could be man hours or materials. So we've got a full gamut of different types of S-curves without really having done anything from the project management software. The different types of curve that are supported, so if I just isolate some of these, we have an actual line, so that's our the actual duration or cost or resource that we completed, and then we have the target, so that's the remainder of our plan. We have our baseline 1, which is, in this case, was the soonest baseline, but it could be our contract program. And we have our second baseline, which in this case is our latest baseline, but it could obviously be revision 1 baseline, so we can plot against those. And what we're obviously trying to do is to work within the envelope here of our as soon as possible or as late as possible baseline. And you can see, unfortunately, we're delayed. by a month or so, 3.29 weeks actually it's telling me up here. So these are the curves that we can display. We can also show a forecast line, which, probably made that a bit thick, haven't I? What that does, that works on the delay up until the data date, so it works on what percentage are we behind, and it extrapolates that through and tells us that if we work at this current rate, we're going to complete sometime in August. So if we were to carry on at this rate, life's not going to be so rosy. So we can turn that off, but it's given us a good idea, and I'll show you some ways that we can look at improving that in a moment. There's a text-based progress report, so if we want that to be printed off alongside it, so this is basically the raw data behind the curve. So this is telling me that the project has slipped, it's behind schedule, so slipped by 23 days, etc. So we've got, and this report here can be altered if we so wish, printed out and saved. So in addition to the S-curves, because you can get S-curves in Excel, but it takes a long time to produce them, we can do a variety of other things in Project Tracker. We can look at the dynamic status. So what this will do, this will, as I move my graph up the curve, it's telling me, so at the 23rd of July I should have done 31%, and according to the program at the moment we're 22 days behind program. If we were to change the S-curve type to maybe cost, this is now telling me how much we've spent and how much we should have planned to spend at a particular time. So we're getting lots and lots of feedback on where we are within the project, so we can use this to try and work out what we need to do. I'm just going to skip ahead to the Gantt chart because the Gantt activities are brought in as well. One of the features of version 2 is the ability to show baselines as well, so you can see that we have our activities and we have our baseline with traffic light reports. Let's get back to the duration-based curve at this point. So you can see that we are behind program. This one slipped by a couple of days, so it enables us to analyze alongside the S-curve report the Gantt chart as well, which obviously you can't do in something like Excel. So we can see around this period, we can analyze it, say, well look, there's lots of delays here, we need to do something about the steel columns. Again, if we flick over that, we got more intelligent information about what's going on. We can open up the activity details at the bottom, and as I move my dynamic status along, you can see that it shows me at each point the activities that are occurring at that particular point in time. So this isn't only an S-curve application, it's an application to help us manage the project. And we've got all the baseline information, the cost information, and the work information along there. So that's very useful for analysing our project. If we just look at the Gantt chart again, obviously we're shading the completed activities here. This pink colour I've got on, but I can remove that. I can turn off the critical path if I so wish, so there's no critical path off. Put it back on, you can see it shaded in red, or I could turn the baselines off. So there's a full way that we can analyse and change the appearance of the activities. Going back to the settings tab here, as well as the Gantt chart and the S-curve, we can have period graphs. So in this case, this is telling us the durations, the work that's going on, if you like, at a particular period in time. So I could maybe have a look here and say, well look, in November we planned to do 59 days of the project, if you like, and we're only doing 23 days of it. If this was switched to cost, for example, we can see the amount of money that we should be spending. So in there it's 10,000, whereas it should have been 27,000. So that might let us know that there's a resource issue, something that we need to do to get this project back on track. And this is one of the other features in version 2, is the ability to have data labels on top of the period graphs, if any of you have used it before. And obviously, again, we can turn the data labels off, we can change the colours. So you can see with a nice graph there, we've got a real good combination of our Gantt charts, of our S-curves, and of a period graph. And again, that will all just preview together nicely. So there's no other software that you can achieve that sort of report in, as far as I'm aware of. So we have all of our Gantt information, our S-curve information, and our resource graph. Maybe it's our meters of mud that we've moved, whatever that might be. I'll show you the resources in a moment. And obviously we have a legend up here and some version control down at the bottom. We've got full appearance options, so we could turn not to have a date axis if we so wished, or we could have one up at the top if we wanted. We could slice the information in weeks if we wanted it more granular. And the data table we can fully play with. So there's lots of options here. Decimal places in the data table, month format, year format, where the data table lines are cumulative, so I can set lots of lines here. Planned data, actual data, percent complete, planned percent complete, week start. So I can turn those on and I can get all my information down here. And obviously this is all scrollable and zoomable, so it's not just a static one hit. We can analyze the data, we can make it bigger, we can make it smaller, as you would expect from a professional application. So the data table is fully customizable. So I could just go down to month and year if I wanted, based on the month format and the year format. So it's very condensed down there. We've got full work over the week numbering, so we can create our own week numbers if we wanted fiscal week. So this could either be at project start or a user-defined date if there was a week 1 date, and we could cycle these every n weeks. So if we wanted it to be a financial year, if this company had special week numbering, we could do that. Excuse me. And again, with the y-axis, we could put one on the right-hand side. We could just have one on the left-hand side. All this can be made bigger, made smaller, depending on what we want. So we've got full manipulation over that. We can also choose to report against baseline 2 if we want. So all this information here is against the first baseline, so 22.68% behind, etc. So if we were to select baseline 2, this information would revert to displaying comparisons against that. All the raw data is available that makes up the graph from the right-hand side. And from here, that can be exported to Excel if you want to graph or create different graphs in Excel. So all the raw data, and if that's cost, for example, that would be the costs of the project, all get exported, can all get exported out to Excel. We can save our reports for another day, so we could save this as whatever date it is today. So this creates our own my own XML format, which can then be sent out to somebody else, so they don't need the project. So we're actually retaining the data, which we can refer back to and compare at any other period in time. The product's translated into several languages at the moment, to make that easier for other people to understand potentially. So I'm just going to close this project down and open another one up, just to show you the feature for physical percent complete. A couple of other features that people asked for to go into version 2, and we've got physical percent complete graph. So at the moment it's on duration. If I change that to physical percent complete, you can see the shape of the graph changes. Just give me 2 seconds, sorry. Sorry, just talking with the internet there. So this physical percent complete has changed the shape of the graph based on the fact that we've added a physical percent complete into the P6 project. And that would use physical percent complete in Microsoft Project if we were using Microsoft Project, or overall percent complete if we were using Aster Power Project. Another feature that people have asked for, you can see here that not only do we show duration delays, but we can show increases in scope. So in fact, this project has grown by 19 weeks. I.e. there's more work now in the project than there was before. Now some people have asked for these two lines to match, i.e. the baseline is always at 100%. There is an option here called Maintain Baseline Scope, which artificially makes the lines match up at 100%. So that's basically to show that there's no scope change within the project. So quite a few of our users have asked for that to go in. So we can just, so there you can see there's a scope change. There isn't. I'm just going to go back to that one. We can add text inside. So I can create some text, so we could say delay weather. Make it bigger, for example. So you can see here we've got some text as well, which is quite useful to help show what we mean by the project. Now we can have lots of different filtering options as well. So it's brought in the WBS from P6. So if I wanted to just, so this is sort of, I guess we're entering into more territory here about the benefits over Excel. So we can say, for example, we wanted just to see a curve on procurement. You can see very quickly we were able to, without doing another export from Excel or another filter inside of Primavera, we're able to create S-curves on one or more different work packages. And that's extremely easy, straightforward, quick to do, and probably vital in creating these S-curves. And what we can then do is we can put these into views. So this could be our mobilization view. And I could set this to batch print. And then maybe we could have another view called, which is on the roofing. And I could save that to roofing. Because each week I'm going to want to produce a batch set of reports for management or for the client. So when I click batch print, that would create automatically throw out each of those views without me every week having to go in and select roofing, select building finishes, whatever I might need to select. So we build up a library of views, but when we click batch print, they'll just be spewed out of the printer. Lots of our users sort of running 20, 25 of these views each week, and they're very, very powerful way of creating the S-curves. Not only do we need to, can we do it by WBS, but we could do it by code. So for example, if we were going for a meeting with the window contractor, you can see there that we've got a graph on windows, probably if we put the baseline on as well. this is quite good because it's obviously showing the window contractor that they're having to come in a month later than was planned. That's quite useful for these small work packages, and again that would be saved in as a view. And then we can look at resources. So if we go to resource, and what I'll do, I'll just turn off some of these bits and pieces. So if we look at resources, this enables me to create resource-specific graphs, particularly good with P6, so you can graph materials if you so wish. Let's hope I can find one that's got a, there we go. So this is the HVAC heavy voltage contractor. So this is their particular S-curve. And obviously if this was done on, if it was concrete or meters of ductwork, for example, we would have a resource graph on meters of ductwork. So again, this would either be in the unit of measure or in terms of man hours. So again, that's very useful for creating individual graphs. And again, obviously, whatever the filter's based on, you would see only the tasks or only the period graphs that are required. So this filtering is an extremely powerful and quick way. So this is where the payback in Project Tracker comes, is that it's extremely quick to display the information that we require. So I'm just going to go back to this one to show you one last feature, and that's the time slice feature that's come into version 2, because people wanted to just create graphs on certain parts of the project. So maybe I want August to the end of August. So you can see here we've now got a smaller curve. So it's including the tasks that finish or start after the period, but we've got a more condensed, so we can see what actually happened in August. Can we have a curve for August? So it's extremely powerful in terms of manipulating all the data's in here. So it's very powerful in terms of manipulating the data and working with it to produce quite in-depth analysis of what we're after. When we look at printing options, we can have the version control, so the issue date, revision date, the version number, the author, portrait, landscape, and we can put a company logo in if we wish. Irrespective of what time slice we've selected in the actual curve settings, we can just do a curve based when we do a printing on the print. So we could say I want just a defined time slice on the print. Let's go for the 1st of May to the 30th of May, something like that. So you can see we just get a not telling us much, but we're just getting a dissected look at the part of the curve between those dates. And then finally we can manipulate this actual curve. So if we wanted to call that actual cost of work performed or something like that, and budgeted cost of work performed or something, well, actually that we can change the legend to display what we want. So that's fundamentally the product. There's a lot in there, but it's very, very straightforward to use. As you've noticed, I've not really gone into any dialog boxes. I've tried to do it, so it's dead straightforward. So if I want to change the colour of a line, I don't really need to find a dialog box. It's all very easy to get to, because I think a lot of software is too complicated to use. So apart from the data label box and the print settings box, everything is just completely accessible. So dead straightforward to use, much quicker to use than exporting to Excel. So that's Shavkat. Are you there? Can we have any questions, or what do you think?
I'm here. Well, let's see if somebody has any questions. Just a second.
Or they can send them to you. It doesn't really matter.
Sure,
Sometimes
sure.
it's better to have an email list and then send them out to everybody. But
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Willard. I really appreciate that. And thank you for everyone who attended our webinar. So if you have any questions, please send me an email and I'll answer them. No problem with that. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.